Hello, everybody, and welcome to Readers and Ritas at Home 2021. My name is Gwen Reyes. I am the Executive Director of Events for Fresh Fiction, as well as one of the community managers of our book clubs. I am so excited to welcome you to our second at-home version, this virtual version of Readers and Ritas. I'm very, very saddened that we were not able to be in person with each other this year, but I am hopeful that in 2022 we will finally be able to see each other, maybe with masks, maybe not, but we're all going to give each other hugs because it's definitely warranted. But we're going to make sure that you guys have a great evening tonight, as well as some really, really exciting panels tomorrow from starting at noon Eastern time, going until 4 o'clock. I just want to let you guys know before we get started with our interviews with our fabulous authors. I just wanted to let you know that we're going to be doing a lot of really fun, cool things after the sessions this evening. We have an open booth session, so you can actually go into our expo and meet different members of our community, as well as some of our authors that are here with us this evening. Okay, but without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our fabulous authors that are here to tell us a little bit about themselves and also to give us a little taste of what they write. Okay, so I'm just going to go round robin and have you guys, if you don't mind, I'll start with you, Maureen. If you can just say your name. We're going to play the name game, which is tell us your name, where you're calling from, the last book you read, and if you haven't read anything recently, something that you're excited about reading or something that's at the top of your TBR pile, and then also what movies or television shows that you have been enjoying recently as well. Okay, Maureen, you go first. Well, if you need a refresher, I'm more than happy to give you one.
Well, I got the name part right.
Excellent.
I'm Maureen A. Miller. Hi. I'm so happy to have everybody here tonight, and I thank Fresh Fiction for inviting me. I write romantic suspense books. I write the Blue Link series, which you might know Shadow. Just
awesome.
So introduce myself there. As far as what I've read, I've been on a big roll with Elizabeth Lowell right now. I mean, she's like my romantic suspense queen. So I can't get enough.
I love it.
As far as watching on TV, oh my God, I just got through the Squid Game.
Oh, did you love it?
Oh, wow. Let's just say
a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
I won't be partaking anytime soon. The whole glass bridge thing, that one did me in.
Oh no.
But yeah, I like that. I've been I can't wait for Money Heist to come back. Can't wait for Stranger Things to come back. Waiting for The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
Get that big Netflix.
Oh yeah, you're right. I just did the whole Netflix lineup.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Maureen. Okay, Carrie Lee Herman, I'm going to throw to you next.
Okay. Thanks everyone for being here. I write women's fiction and romance under Carrie Lee Herman, and I write mysteries and upper middle grade under Carrie Lee Townsend. Lately, I've been reading a little Naima Simone's romances, love her stuff, and Liz Lipperman's Cozy Mystery series. Those are a lot of fun. I'm from Central New York, in a hotel room waiting for my new house. In 1 week, cross your fingers, big dogs. So yeah, there'll be wine in my future too.
Love it. Great. Thanks, Carrie Lee. All right, Terri Reed, you're up next.
Okay, well, Terri Reed. I write romantic suspense for Love-Inspired Suspense, and then I've written some romances for some other publishers. Let's see, I've when I'm not writing, I'm watching TV. So
good. Tell us about it.
Just watched Love Hard yesterday on Netflix, which was so good. Laugh out loud, funny, and yet shed a tear. You know, it was so good. I wish I'd written that. I'm also watching Ted Lasso and The Crown. And reading, I am reading Evie Dunmore's, she has a trilogy of The League of Extraordinary Women, and I just finished Portrait of a Scotsman. So, yeah. So that's me.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, T. O'Fallon, you're up next.
So I'm also a romantic suspense writer. I have a law enforcement background, so it was kind of a natural, it was natural that I fell into the romantic suspense line. I love romance. I started out reading contemporaries. So with my job, it was just a natural flow. Mm-hmm. And my most recent series is a federal canine series. So every hunky dude in the series is a canine agent from some federal agency.
Yes.
And my most recent is Serve and Protect. It's about a Secret Service canine officer. And this book is very, very, very loosely based on a very famous canine, and I mean the dog, not the guy. You may recall, I forget what year it was, there was a fence jumper at the White House
yes.
during the Obama years. And there were actually 2 dogs that took down this fence jumper. And I don't recall if the fence jumper was under the influence, but apparently he fought back against the dogs and hurt them some. And there was a black Belgian Malinois named Hurricane, who pretty much took down the fence jumper and allowed the Secret Service officers to take him down. So my canine in this story is not black, he's white, and his name is Ghost, but very, very loosely based on the character Hurricane. So what have I been reading? I've just been contracted for a thriller series, so not a romance, but these are going to be kind of like Mulder and Scully or Seeley and what's her name? Bones. Bones-esque type stories where, primarily it's about solving the crimes, but that something's going to happen several books into the series between them. So I've been reading Karen Slaughter, her Will Trent series, and I've been reading Karen Rose. She has I don't know what the series is called. It's the Cincinnati guys. As far as what I've been watching, I just binge watched 8 years of Dexter.
Oh, wow.
How long did that take you?
Not 8 years. Yeah, that was great. Terrific series. It took me a little bit to get into it, but once I got into it, I totally got hooked.
You gonna watch the new generation Dexter?
Yes, I'm anxiously waiting for it, as I'm waiting for Stranger Things and waiting for Witcher, of course.
Yay!
I mean, really. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Thanks, T. All right, Kathy, you are our last victim. I mean, author.
Hello, I am Kathy Lyons or Jade Lee. I write contemporary paranormal under Kathy Lyons and historicals by Jade Lee. My latest book, here we go, Lord Scott.
Love it.
Yes. It was, I'm playing in the historical realm and having a really good time with Scotsman's. I'm not.
Right?
I'm writing during the Regency period, so we're talking 50. Normally, we are 50 years before Culloden. I'm writing 50 years after Culloden, and so, I'm kind of exploring what that's like. What I'm reading. Because I'm writing historical, I tend to read paranormal. So I've been reading Dream Shadow by Mary Wine. It just came out on the KISS app, and it's fantastic. So as for what I'm watching, I never watched Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula. So I've been going through that. When it came out, it was UPN. It was the new network, and we couldn't get it. And it was very frustrating. And I realized years later, wait a moment, I like Scott Bakula. In fact, I lived down the street from his aunt.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I did. I mean, he never came to visit, but I know of.
Ungrateful nephew.
I know. And at one point I asked her, well, how well do you know him? And she's like, I changed his diaper. Well, okay.
Very intimate. Awesome. Well, great. Cool. Okay, so now everybody, I'm going to go in an opposite direction, and I want to know a little bit about your writing day. Start from when you wake up and go all the way to when you go to sleep. No, I'm just kidding. Tell us a little bit about your writing day. T, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. So my day absolutely starts with coffee every single day. I do my best writing in the morning, and then I usually get distracted by about noon or 1 o'clock. Today in particular was a super interesting day because when I lived in Colorado, I had the opportunity to meet a retired FBI agent named John Hersley. And if you've never heard of him, John Hersley was the primary case agent for the Oklahoma City bombing investigation. So he pretty much ran one of the most in-depth criminal investigations the state's ever seen. So he is helping me with my current canine book. And I think we've established a great friendship.
Very good.
Awesome. All right, Terri. Oh, yeah, I was going to, if you have more to share about your writing day.
No, not really. You know, like I said, it starts off with coffee. I keep going. The second half of the day is usually some promotion or marketing or social media, you know, things that we have to do to keep ourselves going. I wish we could write all day, but I just can't sit at the computer all day. So I usually wind up in the gym at some point or taking the dogs out to keep my energy up.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Carrie Lee Herman, tell us a little bit about your writing day.
Okay. Well, it's been different in the hotel, but
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. I always in the past used to write during nap time.
Oh, cool.
With the kids. So now that the kids are older, I still am dead at night. I'm useless from dinner on. So I have to lots of coffee in the morning, feed the dogs, tend to the dogs. They either go to daycare or we're doing something. And then probably about 9 or 10 o'clock, try to work out when I'm being good, but about 9 or 10 o'clock, I'll start writing. And that's when I shut everything else off and I don't stop till I get my chapter in for the day. Once the chapter's done, then it's dealing with the dogs again. And then usually social media, things like that, right up until about dinner. And then, like I said, dinner on, I forgot to say what I was watching. It's Yellowstone, Big Sky, Reality Junkie, and Love Hard last night. My daughter.
Is the new season of Yellowstone, has that dropped?
Yeah, it started on Wednesday. Yeah. So Survivor, Bachelorette, you know.
Are you a Real Housewives fan at all? Do you like the Real Housewives?
I've never seen that. It's one I want to watch, but I've never seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very daunting when you think about it because it's like there's so many franchises and so many seasons.
Well, and then I feel like I have so many shows going on that you're then trying to play catch up and see. So I'm just like,
At some point you have to write. Oh, that's the worst part.
Yeah. Well, like I said, dinner time on, especially 8 o'clock. No, I'm dead.
Yeah.
TV time.
All right, Maureen, you're up next.
Well, I have an extremely loud corgi who pretty much controls the day as to what gets done. So I spend the first hour, almost 2 hours of the day trying to wind her down so I can get some time to write. And so I get a couple hours in, then the UPS man will show up and I'll throw everything into a tizzy for a while. Then the FedEx man will show up. For our house, it's just in the vicinity. She knows the motor. She knows the sound of the motor. That's it. So pretty much writing revolves around when she barks.
Have you had a chance to put her in any of your books yet?
No, well, she's referenced in one, but yeah. She would take over the book like she takes over everything else. So I try to keep it low key.
Oh, it's so funny. She's just, a diva. That's just who she is.
That's it. Yeah. And then you were talking about the ages of your dog. She's 5. And they told me, at 6 months, the puppy will start to come out. Then it was a year. Then they said, 2 years, the puppy is gone. The puppy's gone. This 5 years, I'm still waiting.
Famous last words. My parents have she'll be 8 years old golden retriever.
Mhm.
She has not ever settled down, and I don't think that she ever will. I think that's just who she is.
Yep.
All right. Kathy, you're up next. Tell us a little bit about your writing day.
Well, so for my entire life, minus the last month, I am a slow get out of the bed, like really, really slow get out of the bed, coffee, and eventually I'll get around to writing. But something happened 2 months ago. I do not know what. I've been waking up early and going swimming. Before, like at 5 a.m. And I was shocked at how full the Y pool is at 5 a.m. There are other nutcases out there.
Yeah.
And it is pitch black, but there I go in my little swimsuit and I swim my laps and come home. The first time I did it, my husband had no idea I was gone.
Wow. Yeah.
I was puttering around somewhere, and then he heard the car come in, and I come in, and he's like, "You did not just go swimming." And I'm like, "Yes, I did. I am so virtuous." And I feel very virtuous all day. I do that. And then I fall asleep about, 7 o'clock at night, which is probably part of the reason. But in the middle there, I write a chapter, same as Carrie. I write that chapter, and if I write it in an hour, then I am done for the day. That never happens, but and if it takes all day, then it takes all day. But that's what I do. And then there's email, and I have recently discovered a new Sudoku app.
Oh,
my sister said, "Have you tried it? It's awesome, and it's just the right interface." And I'm like, I used to do Sudokus a long time ago. Well, I do them again now.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to tell us what app it is so we can.
I'll have to find it. It's Conceptus, I think.
That sounds very close to septic, and I was like, "What?" I don't want to play that one.
I don't know. It's Conceptus Art. Concept. CONCEPTIS.
Love it. All right, cool.
So
I got really into puzzle apps last year.
Oh,
probably like this year. On my
like 2 dots and stuff.
Yeah, or just like actual jigsaw puzzles that you could just then move on your phone and stuff. Because I was like, I want to get into doing actual puzzles, tactile. And then I didn't want to actually like buy them or put them out or all the steps. So I just got it on my phone and did it for a little while. Awesome. All right, Terri, you're our last one. Tell us a little bit about your writing day.
Well, each day is different. I don't have a set routine necessarily. Actually, the only routine things that I have are around the dog.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, get up, let her out. I come to email 2 days a week. So I come to email and I'll work on whatever I'm writing on until it's time to go to agility. And then we leave and go to agility and we're gone for about 2 hours. And then I come home and I work either on whatever I'm writing or social media or taking a class. And I'm usually done about 4 or 5. And part of my writing is when I'm writing raw, I take a hot bath and dictate.
Oh,
so,
that sounds lovely.
I try to do that 3 days a week, and it could be in the morning, it could be in the afternoon. There's no set time. I'll just be like, okay, it's time. And I go take a hot bath and dictate a chapter or 2. I can usually get about 3,000 to 4,000 words in an hour.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. Well,
I'm jealous.
That's amazing.
And then it takes me, a couple days to just kind of tinker with it and clean it up. So that's why there's no set routine. It's because I barf it out verbally and then I clean it up and then barf it out again. So
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a soothing way too. Like it's self-care. It's the best type of self-care, really.
I do Epsom salts and lavender oil.
Nice. So now I have a few more follow-ups on that one, Terri. When did you start adding this into your writing routine? Or has it always been that way?
No. In 2017, I broke my wrist and I was in the middle of a book and I had no choice. I had to learn how to dictate.
That's how you got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had 5 people living in my house at the time. And that was the bathtub was the only place I could be alone.
Uh-huh.
And the only place I could think.
And
So-
with people listening at the bathroom door going, oh, they're getting to the good part.
Yeah. So, and
I'm
then
sorry, I just want to interject. I had visions of the bathtub scene in The Witcher just then. Am I the only one? Sorry, Terri.
no, that's fine. Yeah, no. So that's the only, and I just haven't been able to dictate outside of the bathtub now.
That's so cool.
I got visions of Kathy swimming by.
So this is a fun little spin-off because I have met another author who every single time, every book she writes in a different place. Like one book she wrote in the back of her car because she had to drive carpool and it was like the only place that she could like, again, have 1 hour to herself. So now I'm really curious for you guys, outside of Terri, who else has sort of like a unique little thing that maybe, or like the weirdest place you've ever written? Maybe that's like the better phrasing of that question.
Well, I used to travel for work. I mean, nonstop. I was constantly in the airport, and I would read one in the layovers, and then I started going, well, I didn't like how that book went, so let me try to write one. And I started writing. I could be in Detroit in a snowstorm, and I'd be writing about Hawaii. Just get away from here. So the traveling really helped with the writing career.
That's awesome.
I've written by hand before. I always carry a notebook with me because you're at ball games, practices, waiting room of a doctor's office, whatever.
Ideas.
And I sit there writing by hand in my notebook, and then later you have to retype it, But I tried the dictation. I just have such a hard time, going stop, period, new paragraph. And my mind runs so much faster than what I can dictate. It seems like I'll lose my train of thought as I'm trying to think it and say it.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a learning curve. There were many, many tears at first. I will not lie.
I don't mean to laugh at your emotions.
But especially when you're wearing the headset and it keeps typing and I'm like, wait, no, stop, crap. Typing everything out.
I don't wear a headset. So when I'm in the bathtub, I just have my phone and I have an app on my phone and I just set it perfect. There and I just start talking.
So you don't worry about the periods or paragraphs or any of that?
No, I do. That took a while to get used to saying, new line. Yeah. Open quote, period, or comma or whatever. But when I first did it, I thought, I don't need to do that. I'll just add those.
And then you just get like one giant paragraph.
Yeah, that was really tedious. So I forced myself to learn to do it. And I forced myself to just talk slower than I normally do and more clear because I can slur my words, especially with these braces now. So I have to be very conscientious. But I don't know, there's something for me just laying in that bathtub, my mind it opens.
Free.
So,
well, apparently that many words. I mean, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I type very fast and I can't get that many in an hour.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think we've all been inspired to now go
I know,
like a hot bath.
What are you doing in there? Well,
well I will say I learned from Maisie Yates, who writes for Harlequin. She writes every book through dictation, but she does it with a headphone and like drives around in her car and dictates and walks places in her house. And I was like, I can't do that.
I get too many backspaces.
Yeah.
I found
it's that fun for me. So
dictation was kind of hard for me. I did try it. But one thing I do find is helpful is I keep a digital recorder in my car because I get tons of ideas when I'm driving. Particularly when I'm listening to audiobooks, which I was doing a lot of during my horrible commute out to JFK Airport. And there's just something about listening to audiobooks. It just really pings my inspiration and gives me all kinds of ideas.
That's neat.
And like Terri was talking about how the bathtub is her thing, and she has, free flowing thoughts in the bathtub. When I'm running, I'll go for a few miles, and there's something about running. If I have a problematic area in my book, there's something about that activity that just gives me free thought, and very often I can figure out a solution to my writing issue.
I get that with swimming.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, I bet.
So
Just incredibly cleansing, That's awesome.
So
Okay.
I have an interesting location, or a new location. I just bought a 0G office chair.
Ooh, tell us more about this fancy chair.
So I lie like almost completely flat with my feet up in the air.
The dream.
Looking up, basically. I have the monitor up above my head because it's just, it's on a stand. And so it's this way, and I'm just typing like that.
That is so cool.
That is cool.
The weirdest thing was that my cat used to always sit at my feet while I worked. and she's been very, very indignant that she can't.
Mhm.
I thought you were going to say she jumps. Lands on your feet.
Just dangles from there.
She has tried, but the keyboard, given where the keyboard is, it's right where she would lay, and my feet are sticking, almost directly up in the air. And so she gets very indignant and leaves.
That is
I have
so
to Google that
cool.
after we're done.
I went to the back store in Dallas. I was visiting, and they had one, and I was like, it's okay.
Oh, wow.
That's really cool. I've seen them on like Instagram, but I thought they were like as an ad, but I just thought they were like a scam. So I was like, I don't know if that's real or not. Like that's gonna all cave in on me. But you got it at the back store, so that's like actually legit. That is so cool.
No, I have such a visual. I'm dying to know if it's correct.
I love that so much. Okay, well now I want to take a hot bath and I'm gonna get into the OG chair. That sounds perfect. It's the dream. Okay, Tio Fallon, I don't mean to pick on you again the first time, but I'm going to. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
a little bit of both.
Okay.
So my editor and I have a relatively new editor. My previous editor left the company. So, it's always a transitional period when you get a new editor. You have to find that new balance and all. So she likes to see a beat sheet, which coincidentally is based on Save the Cat, a screenwriting book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I know it well.
That's a good book.
So it works for us. So in order to create that beat sheet with the different structural elements of the book, I pretty much have to come up with some kind of an outline before I get started, which is fine with me because I like to do an outline.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a completely in-depth outline, but it can be up to 50 pages. It's a scene by scene outline.
Wow. That's cool.
Like whose point of view, where is it, time of day, what do I want to happen? What's the cliffhanger at the end of the scene or the chapter? It can obviously, it'll change somewhat as I'm writing because it has to, and that's the pantser aspect. And we all know sometimes certain scenes and certain characters just talk to us and it changes, or you come up with an idea on the fly and the whole thing changes. Maybe the end changes. I don't know. So I'm a little bit of both.
Awesome. I love that. All right, Terri Reed, what about you? Are you a pantser or are you a plotter as you hang out in your bathtub?
So I'm like T. I am a plotter and pantser. So I do a very detailed synopsis. I use the Save the Cat and the hero's journey. I do tons and tons of character sheets, and I use scene and sequel. So I do a lot of pre-writing, I would say, before I actually sit down to write. So I know the story. I know the story arc. I know what the beats are. I know the characters really well. I know what their Enneagram number is.
Oh man, Myers-Briggs, you've done them all.
Strengths finders are. Strengths finder. Anyway, So then when I go to dictate in the tub, I will take the paragraph of my synopsis and say, okay, this is what I have to do today.
Oh, I love it.
And usually that paragraph will have, well, from that paragraph, then I will sometimes fill out a scene and sequel form, and I take those into the bathtub with me and set them on the toilet. And I'll look at them, and then I get in the bathtub, and then I start talking because I know what needs to happen. And then I just let the characters do whatever they're going to do. And if I don't know what the description is or something, I'll just say, describe here. And then I keep moving on.
Love it. Oh, man. That's
so cool. Yeah. So it's a little bit of both, but I do a lot of plotting up front so that I can be a pantser when I'm writing.
Absolutely. Be freeform at that point.
Right.
Brilliant.
Good point.
All right, Carrie Lee Herman, you're up next.
Okay. Well, for my mysteries, I definitely always know the killer. I come up with my list of suspects. I always know the beginning and I always know how it's going to end, but that dreaded middle. So I come up with the basic outline, but then I always have my outline of what I want to do. Then I always have a working outline. Every day when I finish a chapter, I write down what I actually wrote. Same thing with I underline where it is, like the setting. I know what characters are in it. If I dropped a clue or something that I have to wrap up later. So that works really well for me. If something comes halfway through, like a great new twist or something, I can see the book as a whole and know exactly what spots I can plug it in. Yeah. And it also lets me know, wow, I was in the library a lot, or whoa, this character, my real killer has hardly been in it. Maybe I should plug them in.
I think you should do a bathtub scene.
Somebody needs to.
Yep. So my outline and my actual outline, what I want to do and what I'm actually doing. But yeah, that seems to work well. And then basic idea, a little bit of outlining for the romances or the women's fiction. But that I kind of, again, I know the ending, but I don't need as rigid of an outline. I don't need to worry about, oh, shoot, I forgot to wrap up that clue I dropped in chapter 3, So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Maureen, you're up next.
I like to think of it, I actually write the skeleton, as I call it, and I will write the entire skeleton of the book, and then I go back and fill the flesh in. But I need to know where everything is going, and then it comes to me as I'm writing the skeleton. I use an application, OneNote. That my friend, every thought is just thrown into OneNote. I got 1,000 little notes to myself there, and somehow there's organization.
I love it. All right, Kathy, what about you? Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
I'm a total pantser. I never used to be, but I would do things like in my outline, it would be they escaped jail. I don't know how. And I know the overarching sort of story, but lately I have just, if I write it in a tight enough period, so if I have a tight deadline and I have, it's like, okay, I'm writing this book in a month, which I actually did with my last one. I just sat down and every day it rolled out. I'm living with it. And so that book rolled. This one that I'm writing now, concentrated time period, not getting jack done. So some books it works, some books it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to a great next question, kind of a follow-up, which is, what is your favorite distraction when you're avoiding writing?
Chocolate.
Just chocolate in general, eating the chocolate, making the chocolate.
I get up, I run around the house, and I always end up with chocolate. And then, there's Halloween candy still in this house. And it's bad. But yes, I walk around and I find something to eat.
Oh man. All right, Carrie, what about you? What's your favorite distraction?
I get on to check email or do something important for work, And I end up on TikTok and I end up on Facebook and and then an hour goes by and I'm like, oh shoot, put that down. Or of course, then
a great Sudoku app.
Yes, and that my problem is then I end up on Amazon, and yes, the Amazon truck arrives in my neighborhood at my house almost daily. My husband's like, do we have stock in Amazon? I mean, why is the truck always out here?
Like they just really like us. I don't know.
And
why.
see, now my excuse is they said to shop early for Christmas. I must do it now.
You're like, supply chain.
Like, shoot, I need to write today. Yeah.
Oh man. All right, Terri, what about you? What's your favorite distraction when you're avoiding writing?
I call a friend.
Cool. Like, who wants to be a millionaire?
Yeah, call a friend. And, we talk, or I take my dog for a walk, or or I go bug my husband. He's working from home now since the pandemic, so there's that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Maureen, what about you?
Well, I play catch.
Corgi.
And same thing, husband's working from home, and a lot of time I've got to do the tap dance routine or anything to entertain the dog so she doesn't bark while he's on the work conference call. So yeah, a lot of catch.
That doesn't work as well with a cat.
Get that laser pointer out for the kitty cat. What about you, T?
I would say it's either something with the dogs, either because I want to do something with the dogs or because they demand it, or cooking or in season gardening. Right now it's time to start breaking down the garden, and that garden is just calling my name, and that's a great distraction. Get out there with some sharp tools to work off some aggression and
dig in there. I like it. Get that real pokey thing that you just like scratches everything. So do you have like what kind of garden? Flower, vegetable, herb?
So I have a perennial garden, and then last year I put in a produce garden. So I've been kind of living off the land a little bit.
That's
man.
Good. That's good.
Yeah, self-sufficient. What did you grow?
I grew butternut squash,
Yum.
tomatoes, beets, all kinds of herbs, lettuce and arugula, and I've always had raspberries. I love raspberries.
Nice. Yeah, it's like
so when we hear about supply chain, we're going to come visit you.
There you go.
Yeah, I could live off the land for quite a while.
T's ready
Do
for
you ever
that.
plant your gardens in like those pots that you see? That like I always thought of that, the ones that are not outside, just like the ones you can even have in your house.
Yeah, so I actually take some of my herbs inside for the winter. Some of my pot plants are in pots within the produce garden.
Yeah.
And that's really just because I started the tomatoes outside before I had the garden, and then it was just easier to haul them inside the garden. And I say inside because we have deer and rabbits and all kinds of invasive little critters, so it's had to be completely fenced in. So I just took the pots and put them inside the fencing.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I keep saying I'm going to try that. I don't have a green thumb. So I thought maybe in a pot I'd do better than outside.
I have 2 little plants that sit on my counter right now, and I feel like that's about as much earth mothering as I can do, probably.
I killed an air plant, so yes.
Yeah, they say they want water, and then they're like, no, too much water.
Right.
A lot of rules with plants.
It's a balance, definitely.
Yeah.
So we're all gonna buddy up to T. She'll take care of us. She'll teach us how to farm. Well, let's dig a little bit into y'all's books, because I think that would be really fun for us to get to know a little bit about the, if you don't mind, I'm going to go around and have you guys talk a little about your latest release, and what inspired the characters or the story, if there's like a based on true story, or what inspired it. So let's start. I'm just going to start from the top. Maureen, you go first.
Let's see. The latest is Frozen Agenda, which this is more of a romantic adventure, very Indiana Jones-ish.
I want to look.
discover an ancient coin that leads them on a trip to an uncharted island off of Greenland.
Mm-hmm.
So that one was a lot of fun because I'm big into adventure, and of course, who doesn't like the Indiana Jones adventures?
Absolutely.
And then who wouldn't want Raiders to have just a little bit more romance to it? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Had some, but with just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more smooching.
Yeah. So that's Frozen Agenda.
That's so cool. Have you been to Greenland before?
No. You know, long ago I went to an RWA, and Nora Roberts had a class there, and she's like, my whole desk is full of little piles, 3 sheets of this, 3 sheets of that, 3 sheets of that. She goes, these 3 sheets are the reef research. She goes, I've never been diving. I don't know anything about it, but you know, God bless the internet. We can learn a lot.
Absolutely. So true. All right, Carrie, you're up next.
Well, I just finished, it's 3 novellas, the Mary Scroogemas series. So it's Naughty or Nice, Sleigh Bells Ring, and Jingle All the Way. So those Christmas holidays inspired that, just fun holiday romances. And then my mysteries, I just finished writing my last in the Fortune Teller series. So I'm starting a new cozy mystery series. And it's about a woman who is a fashion designer, and she's a germaphobe, and she falls and hits her head and wakes up with the power to read minds, but only through the power of touch. So she has to be touching a person. So she'll touch them, hear what they're saying, and then carry around her hand sanitizer in between. And the detective lives, and what inspired it is my big fat Greek wedding, because she's adopted in this big Greek family. And yes, only in this it's duct tape and aloe, and they're always trying to fix her. And then, you know, they want her to meet the nice Greek boy. Well, the detective is half Greek, and he's new in town, and he lives right next door and has the big sloppy Saint Bernard. Well, yeah, that's a nightmare between the two of them. But so far it's been a lot of fun.
I love that so
Does
much.
he start reading minds too at the end?
No. And she doesn't clue him in that she can read minds. And she never thought she could have romance because she would kiss a man on the thought of the germs she was having. But now that she can hear his thoughts, and his thoughts are blocking out anything she might be thinking. So he's her one true hope now that romance could possibly exist.
Yeah.
That's cool.
In between murders and everything else
you know.
going on. The Greek families, the mamas. The mamas and the yayas, and oh my gosh.
I love the weight of like murders and Greek in-laws. There, it's equal. I feel the scales of justice would agree.
Yep. So that's fun.
That's awesome. That sounds so good. Kathy, tell us about your latest release.
Wait, where'd it go? So
Bye, Squidge.
Squidge just went tumbling off. Okay, so Lord Scott. This is part of my historical. Actually, it's launching a new series, but this Scotsman really decided that he wanted this one particular heroine, and she was on the shelf and done with it. She never wanted to leave London because she has made a life for herself in London. Well, he needs her dowry, and he needs them to live in Scotland. So this is a problem. So it is a steady seduction as he gets her up to Scotland. And then he says that, okay, you are female and you are my wife. I'm going to hand you, this is how he gets her to accept the wedding, is you have your dowry. I'm going to hand you your coins. I'm going to hand you your money. You pick how we're going to renovate this old drafty castle. You pick what you want to do. And so she creates, she actually brings in a friend of hers that knows about plumbing, and then they, build a bathhouse, and she makes the clan clean up before they come. She just, it's renovate a castle.
Yay!
As they're falling in love, and she's admitting that, okay, maybe, being married isn't necessarily a bad thing.
To a Scot, no less.
Yes, so much fun. It's like a Regency HGTV.
Exactly.
So into that. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I did Maureen and Carrie and Kathy. So let's jump to T. You're next.
So I already said a little bit about my latest release, Serve and Protect, which is the 5th in my Federal Canine series. And each of the books has, a hunky alpha dude who, with the help of a strong heroine, saves the day at the end of the book. But this one was a little bit different, and it was fun to write. My publisher said to me, T, let's do something a little different this time. Let's mix it up. Why don't you start off the book where the hero is in some kind of trouble and the heroine has to help him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to give it all away, no spoilers, but something very devastating happened to the hero before the start of the book. So you are jumping in right there, and the heroine has to jump in and kind of save the day right there in chapter 1, which is different for me.
Mm-hmm.
And these are two opposites. You know how we all want our characters to be different. We don't want to have cookie cutter H&H in every single book.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So everyone's got to be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So the hero is, somewhat surly, and he's been through a lot, tough background. And the heroine's also been through a lot, but so it's fun to write snarky characters, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's fun to read it too.
I just feel like maybe it's just me. The dialogue flows really well because snark is fun to write. So this was a little bit snarkier than most of my books, and I really like it. I'm totally hooked on snark.
Do you think you'll add that into some of your future books too? Gonna snark it up in 2022?
Yeah. So again, no spoilers. Something happened to the hero. He's a Secret Service officer, and it was a very tough book to write, to find a plausible plot where someone would want to see a Secret Service canine officer dead, because they don't do investigations like Secret Service agents do. Like in what was that movie? In the Line of Fire.
Mm-hmm. I love that movie.
The hero was a Secret Service agent, and he was doing a currency investigation. But the Secret Service officers are part of the uniform division, so they don't do investigations. They are protecting the White House grounds. Mm-hmm. They protect some dignitaries, visiting dignitaries in the Washington, D.C. area. They patrol the Treasury building, which is really just kind of attached to the White House. It's right there. So the scope and their world is relatively small. Mm-hmm. So I had to come up with an interesting plot with a twist. Mm-hmm. And then there's another twist at the end where something else is going on that you won't expect. So it was a fun book to write, between the snark and the twists.
Do you like to surprise yourself, or do you tend to not have that as much anymore?
Well, I love to surprise myself, but when you're a plotter, that's hard to do.
Right? Yeah.
But once in a while, I'll have one of those aha moments where I'll be going through my outline and writing, and I'll be like, oh man, I got to do this.
Hey, Julie, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, how's everybody doing?
Hi, Julie.
Awesome. So, Julie, I'm just going to introduce you to everybody. We're live. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm just kind of doing some round robin, introducing our authors to our readers. So I'm going to give you a little bit of chance to see how everybody's doing, and then I'll throw to you, so you have a moment to just kind of catch up. Cool. All right, great. So let's see. So we did Terri, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your newest release.
My latest release or an upcoming release?
Whichever one you want. Yeah,
okay.
Whichever you're comfortable with.
This is the book that I grabbed. So I have Alaskan Rescue, which is the first book in a continuity series from Love Inspired Suspense. And this is set in Alaska with a canine officer who is tasked with protecting a breeder who breeds Alaskan mushers for the dog sleds. And
I thought you were going to say mushrooms.
Very frosty mushroom.
A different book.
Alaska.
Yeah, that would be a different book, a different line. Yeah, I don't think I could get away with that, but that would be fun. Yeah. So, so somebody is trying to steal my reader's dogs, and the hero and she try to figure out who is doing that. And in the background, there's some other mysteries that are going on because this is an 8-book series. And the last book in this series comes out this month. So, yeah, and it's done really well. As you know, the whole series is done really well. And I love writing continuities because they're, it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. Somebody was talking about puzzles. Oh, Quinn, I think you were. That's what it's like to write a continuity because, you have to lay in clues that other people pick up, but they also have to integrate into the story and not seem too, out there. Yeah. So anyway, so that's my my most recent book that came out.
Awesome. Great. All right, Julie. So I'm going to have you say a little bit about yourself, where you're calling us from, and then also what book you have been reading recently. And then you can tell us a little bit about your latest release.
Okay. Well, I'm from Fort McMurray, Alberta, where it is currently blizzarding outside.
Oh my goodness.
We got 5 inches of snow on Wednesday and another 3 today. So
I would never have known with your tank top. I was like, it seems warm where you are.
Summer is a state of mind. Let me tell you.
Summer is a state of mind. You're so true.
There are people out there probably right now that refuse to allow winter in, and they go outside with their shorts and their Birkenstock. They refuse.
No, I'm not here for that. That's wild.
Yeah, we have a few nutballs that live here. All righty. What was the other question?
What you already told us where you're calling from, what you are writing or what you've been reading recently. And it's like, yeah.
I just read, there's a great gal, her name is Forthright. That's her author name. And she writes Japanese inspired romance. And I just read, it's called Puminko and the Finicky Nestmate. Anyway, it's a continuity series. And if you like Japanese mythology and like anime and the graphic novel style, her books are amazing. I actually heard about her from Ilona Andrews and had to try and then fell in love with the first book. And the gentleman that does the narration of her books has 80 million voices.
That's so cool.
Like
Jim Dale level.
He just every single character is so different from the rest. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing. She's got an amazing narrator.
That's so
for
cool.
those books. Awesome. Yeah. So my latest release is Trapped with the Covert Ops Soldier, and it takes place in
as
Montana.
One does.
Yes. Yes. It takes place in Montana in a haunted gold mine.
Ooh,
love it.
That's cool.
And
what inspired that? Did you find a haunted gold mine in Montana?
That actually came, wow. So this book, I wrote it. It was the very first thing I ever published about 11 years ago. And I wrote it, we were part of a 30 author collective. And so we all set our books in this town in Montana. And there were parts of that book that I really liked, but also stuff that I had to fix because it was bad. So I rewrote it, and I rewrote over half of it and doubled it in length and republished. And we had in that story, every book had to be set in this town and have one character throughout all the books. And he was the town drunk named Jack Daniels.
Perfect.
Yeah, like
I love that.
too
How did
fun.
you get 30 authors to agree to name this one character? It's like naming one person for a committee.
Yeah,
A lot of work.
Everybody is Canadian. It was the Calgary romance writers, and we just it was right as ebooks were taking off, and everyone was really excited, and we all just signed on and said, okay, tell me what I got to do. And yeah, it was awesome.
That's great. Oh,
Yeah.
Sweet Daniels.
Yeah, Jack Daniels.
That is so great.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. He kept that. He keeps complaining with the doctor. He's trying to protect her. He's sort of this old geezer that just anyway. So he sleeps on the back door in front of her back door, and yeah, he's a funny guy. Sorry, my characters take over. Sorry.
Yeah, that's actually that's a good lead into my next question, which I'm really curious because I'm always into the creative process. But like, how do your characters come to you guys? Do you hear them? Do you see them? Do you feel them? Do they visit you in the bathtub or when your legs are in the air? You know, it's wherever you're gonna be. Yeah,
she missed the context of
no, that's what I was like. I'm gonna just leave this sans context on that one. And I'm gonna let
Mine never
Terri
shut up. Mine never shut up. Yeah, that's pretty much what I go through.
That's so funny.
I don't know about the rest of you, but yeah, they don't shut up. They're worse
They're
than my
chatty
kids.
Mine usually come when I'm working out. They come talk to me as a distraction, whether I'm walking or swimming or whatever. It's like I could think about how hard it is to go that next lap, or I could talk to somebody in my head
Yep.
who is really hot and interesting to talk to. So
I'm a big people watcher in the mall or wherever I am, and people look at me staring at them like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, sorry. And I'm looking for my pen to write the
I always say they can't see me as I'm staring.
That's where the
directly at
recorder
them.
would come in handy as you're talking into the recorder.
Look at these weirdos over here.
descriptions.
Can't wait to write their stories out.
Great piece of dialogue. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The news, movies, wherever.
Mhm.
When you're working with a series, your character in book one was in one sentence in the book, and now suddenly he's a full-fledged character. And
Yep.
Mhm.
yep.
it's a birthing process.
That's a good way to put it.
Absolutely.
And story Bibles for every series, because my critique partners are amazing. They'll be like, wrong series. Whoops. You're putting someone else in a different series.
That's
the best. You can like cross-pollinate your series.
It's called crossovers. I like this.
Yeah.
If Dick
like
Wolf
the
can do
Chicago
them,
series.
so can you.
Exactly.
Oh man. So how do you guys unwind after a particularly good or bad writing day? You can take it either good or bad or both, whichever one you want,
I repeat my earlier statement. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Julie?
I drink tea.
Jack Daniels.
Yeah, no, I don't drink alcohol. Actually, I'm like this all the time. Yeah.
I like wine and reality TV.
Oh yeah. Love Island. Oh my God.
I've seen those too. Yeah.
UK or
I'm a Grey's
American?
Anatomy fan.
There you go.
NCIS.
Oh man, I love everybody's TV affiliations. Do we have any Law and Order fans? Come on, Law and Order.
Well, I like SUV. Law and Order SUV is my fave.
Same. Mhm.
CSI.
Yeah.
I'm a crafter, actually. I make stuff. I'm actually teaching an online class right now on making your own
Cool.
swag.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've got
Wow.
9 projects in. I'm going to show you one second.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to.
Got to do something to keep warm there.
Now we need to know what the
Okay, I'm definitely unwinding with a little bit of this.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I would like to tell you that this is what I do when I'm watching Love Island. I create folded
Oh,
books.
wow.
What does it say? Story?
It says story, yeah.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
They're actually
Wow.
super easy to do. You just need a pattern and done. And I
Wow,
fold the pages.
that's really
I don't cut
neat.
them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm a crafter. I have a problem with paper.
I was going to ask, what is your medium of choice? Is it
Paper, yeah.
paper?
Yeah.
You're like, I write the books on the paper, and then I destroy the books.
Yep, and I cut them up.
See, they're folded, not
Mhm.
not cut, so
Not
I
cut.
can just unfold the page and read it.
Folded.
They're folded. Yeah, I don't cut them.
That's
That's illegal. I'm sure somewhere.
just like cracking the spine.
Yeah,
Oh,
that.
this is a controversial thing, guys. Now we're after hours. How do we feel about spine breakers? Do you have an opinion?
Do you dare speak?
I figure if they read the book, if they bought it, it's theirs. They can do with it.
It's better than dog earing.
I once, back when I was a kid,
Gee, we need to talk.
No words necessary.
I love it.
But it's because I've read it so many times.
Mhm. Absolutely.
when I was a kid, I left a book. It was one of the Little House on the Prairie books. It was about a boy. I can't remember the title, but it was a thick book. And after I left it out on a drizzly day, it was a very thick book. all the pages
expand it a
swelled
little.
and the spine broke, and I got into a lot of trouble because that book was not mine.
Mhm.
So I have been careful with the spines ever since.
I love that. Yeah, I also can't break a spine. It's just painful to me. The first time I did, I had the book fall apart. Like, so it was very like instantaneous. Oh, you don't do that. That's bad.
Sounds like you're dealing with some PTSD there.
Maybe, yeah. There's a lot of trauma there. It's
Yeah.
really repressed down.
Yeah,
Really
maybe.
just pushed it down there, and I'm like, don't break my spines. Okay, so this is kind of a silly question, but I'm always curious because you do spend so much time with your characters. Do you have a character, in your newest book or across all your oeuvre of that you would want to be, like a character? I know that you probably are going to say all my characters I am, but like there's probably a character of your heart, or maybe a few that that you would love to
Could be in a movie with Ryan Reynolds or something.
I will ask you who you would like to be in an elevator with, yes, so I can hear about Ryan Reynolds.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's go with Maureen.
Let's see. I write romantic suspense, but I also do write young adult. I would call it romantic suspense, if you will. And I have a crazy book called Beneath, where there's a boat that capsizes in the Atlantic, and they actually sink to the bottom of the sea, and they find shipwreck survivors that are still living down there. And that character, I really enjoyed her and the challenges she faced. And I wouldn't mind going to the bottom of the sea as long as I could breathe.
I love it. All right. Terri, what about you?
Well, so I think I wrote a book. My second book was A Sheltering Love. And I think the character Claire was the closest character I've written that is like me.
Okay.
Yeah. So the rest of them all, I give them much more courage, much bolder women. But Claire, she was very earnest and the most one like me.
I love that. All right, T, what about you?
The very first book I had published is called Burnout. It's the first of my NYPD Blue and Gold series. It's a series about detectives. And I think we all probably put a little bit of ourselves in every book in some shape or form. But for this one, the heroine, there's a lot of me and her and me.
Mm-hmm.
She, unlike me, however, she came from a family of detectives. Her father, her brothers, all detectives. So she just kind of naturally got funneled into that career path. And she became a very successful detective, an undercover detective. and she got burned out, hence the title of the book, Burnout. And she always wondered if maybe there was another path for her. She winds up fleeing from an assassin who's after her because of something she did undercover. She winds up in a quiet little upstate New York town, and ends up becoming the head chef, if you will, at some little diner where the French chef just got fired. So she kind of falls into it. She always loved cooking. I mean, I've said that's one of the things I like to do to unwind. And naturally, she meets the chief of police there, who's naturally not bad looking. And he knows
I have read this book of hers. I recommend it.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
I had fun writing it. He knows there's something not quite right about her. He knows she's keeping secrets, and she's not about to give up her secrets. Yet she's finding, what do I want to do? You know, when this is all over, do I want to go back to being a detective, or do I want to stay where I am in this quiet, nurturing little upstate town and cook? And she's now become a part of the community there. So there's a lot of me and her and me, I think, out of all the characters I've written.
I love that. That's awesome. All right, Julie, what about you? Would you like to become any of your characters?
Well, I think I'm becoming one of them. That would be my drill sergeant character, who's a grumpy old guy who swears a lot. So yeah, I'm assuming I'm going to get there eventually. I'm not allowed to swear that much. My kids get upset with me.
Oh man,
I'm afraid they're going to reinstate the jar. You have to put $1 in it every time you swear. I'm terrified because I'll be broke so fast.
I would just be like repocketing my money. Yeah.
Oh, that's my jar. Yeah. But my heroine from Undercover or Trapped with the Undercover Prince would be someone I would aspire to. She's a physician and she's recovering from cancer, and she just approaches everything with a patience and empathy. And even though there's characters that come at her, they don't push her off. She has that in the back of her head. I've beat cancer. You can't scare me, you know? So yeah, that's kind of what I wish I was.
It's good aspiration. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, Kathy, what about you?
I wrote a book a few years ago called Seducing the Skeptic, where my heroine is stuck. She's actually a PhD student, but she's trying to think of something and she's stuck. And she goes to find a pair of boots in her roommate's closet to open it up to a portal to another world. And it is a fun fantasy world. And every time she thinks she understands what's going on, it changes. And I had so much fun writing that book just because anything I wanted to do in it was goofy and fun. And as soon as there's this one. Well, there are several really good jokes that I'm going to hold back and not spoil. But this was a book that I wrote completely at random. I just sat down and started writing it, and it was so much fun because I never knew what was coming out next, and it was fun. So I'd love to play in the fantasy world that I created. I grew up on the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, all the Narnia tales. So I always wanted a closet that opened up into another world.
I love that. Same, absolute same. Cool. All right, Carrie, what about you? You're our last one.
Well, I was always fascinated with psychics. Been to psychic fairs, so that's what inspired my fortune teller series. So the very first book, I had each book takes place around a different tool. So like the first one's Tempest in the Tea Leaves, Corpse in the Crystal Ball, Trouble in the Tarot. So I was researching tea leaf readings. So I remember I had a book signing at Barnes and Noble, and I made my best friend come with me. So as much as I want to be a psychic and do all the research, I pretended to be a psychic, had her, I was not very good at it. She was spitting tea leaves out of her teeth. And by the time I'm trying to read the cup and she's, the problem was I look up, the line is getting bigger and bigger. It's now out the door, around the corner. I'm like, wow, they love this series. No, they thought I was a real psychic and everybody was in there waiting to have their tea leaves read.
They all needed a little psychic intervention right there.
Every book after that, I'm like, I'm not demonstrating any of the other tools. Much easier to write about it than to actually demonstrate what I said she was doing. So the disappointment, I'm like, are you all going to leave now?
They're like, you're not a psychic.
I think I had some pity stays. All right, we'll take the book and read about it. But yeah, they really thought I was going to give each of them a reading.
That's so funny. You unintentionally scammed those poor customers.
That's a great story.
If they were watching closely, they would have seen it wasn't pretty.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have a question from some of our readers. And guys, if you have questions in the audience, you can go ahead and pop them in the chat or send them through the Q&A. I'll ask what I can when I can. But I wanted to ask this one because I thought this would be fun for you guys to address. So this is for the authors, obviously, not for me. Who are you?
You're an author too.
Yes, that's true. Who are your favorite authors and what are your favorite genres? So I'll go ahead and I'm going to pick on you, Julie. I'm going to start with you first, but take a moment to think about it. You don't need to feel rushed.
I have a list.
Perfect. I love an accomplished woman. Let's do it.
Nalini Singh. She's got 3 different series on the go, and that's not even her thrillers. And they're all amazing. Forthright, I mentioned her already. Ilona Andrews. There's a lot.
Those are some good picks. And what are your favorite genres?
I like paranormal romance. I don't write it, but I love to read it. I like contemporary. I like suspense. Yeah, those are my go-tos.
Love it. Okay, Terri, what about you?
Well, Sarah McLean, Evie Dunmore, Lisa Kleypas, a lot of historicals, especially the last 18 months or so. Take me away. I love Lisa Gardner's thrillers. So yeah, I read across. I love paranormals too. Some of them I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But yeah, so
awesome, great. Okay, T, who are some of your favorite authors and favorite genres?
Well, hard to to funnel it down to just a few.
You can bring the list out. It's fine. The whole binder.
Well, I started off reading contemporaries when I first started reading romance, and to this day, that book that I showed you that is literally falling apart, Judith McNaught's Paradise, is still one of my absolute faves. So that's just a contemporary romance. I do tend to read mostly romantic suspense because I do like the suspense angle of the crime. I like the good guy, bad guy thing and a crime to be solved. So I do like Karen Rose, and I've been reading Karen Slaughter, even though that's not strictly a romantic suspense. That's more like a thriller or a suspense. I like Linda Howard a lot. She's got a good blend of romance and suspense. I love Abigail Owens' Dragon Shifter series. So that's a paranormal. So that I've been reading a lot of lately.
Love it. Great. Okay, let's see. Maureen, what about you?
I like to say I bleed romantic suspense. I mean, I love romantic suspense. I think I like my hero and heroine to work for their romance. And some of you here, I know Julie, maybe T, remember Just Romantic Suspense. I had started that site maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
because romantic suspense just didn't get respect. It was, and I heard that from series writers that romantic suspense was not popular, and I got so upset about that. So I created Just Romantic Suspense, and through that, my God, how many authors that I met and enjoy so much. So I could never even list all the romantic suspense authors I like.
And Maureen, can I just say we thank you for that? I remember it. I posted on it. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's awesome. Carrie Lee, what about you?
Oh, I love romantic comedies, the funny, cozy mysteries, women's fiction. Oh, God. Janet Ivanovich, Kristen Davis, Denise Swanson, Leanne Moriarty, Kristen Higgins. I could go on and on. I love in all of mine, and what I like to read also, I always love like some kind of, at least a little bit of mystery going on, but then I always have to have at least some element of romance and humor. I love a little bit of humor, even if it's just a quirky character or witty dialogue. I want something where it's making me like grin 1 minute and then I'm crying the next.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
It's a emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Love it. What about you, Kathy?
Jennifer Ashley, Rebecca Zanetti, Mary Wine for her. I love her historicals, but I'm reading her paranormal now going, what? Everyone you guys have mentioned is awesome. And so I'm sort of brain farting here. I go in waves. I was all over paranormals for a while. Then I switched over to comedies. Then I switched over. I'm all over the map.
I love that.
Yep.
Do you have
there's
anybody?
This girl named Tio Fallon. I've really liked some of her some of the earlier books. I'm a little behind right now, but
Thank you.
So this is something that we talked a lot about in our book clubs in 2020, not as much this year, just because things have changed, of course. But one of the things that we were gravitating towards last year in the beginning of the pandemic was comfort reads. The things a lot of people were like, it's just hard to pick up new books. We're just rereading the things or finding the time to go and revisit our old friends and those books that just kind of helped us feel comfortable. And I'd love it if you guys could tell us some of your comfort reads. And it can be, maybe one of your own books or a book that just somebody else's book that brings you a little bit of comfort. And I'll start with T, but again, take your time thinking about it.
Well, it's kind of I'm going to go off first on a little tangent. Like you said, it's been a rough year and a half or so for everyone. And it's made it a little bit harder, I think, on romantic suspense authors. Mm-hmm. Like all of us, I've had some series and books that I've been pitching. And I get the typical response of, people just want something cozy and funny and light and fluffy. And I just don't think I can market your book right now. It's a little bit too intense or something like that.
Yeah. Hugs to you, T.
Right. So we're not getting that respect, Maureen. Mm-hmm. And I kind of understand that, but I kind of don't, because our romantic suspense books are just as much of escapism as a funny, witty, snarky romantic comedy. So I really resent hearing that. I think our books are just as good during tough times. It's all escapism. So I have not stopped reading romantic suspense. I've been reading, rereading Julianne Walker's motorcycle series, and I just
so good.
AI Black Knight
is, to me, she's like the queen of snark.
Exactly. I was like, if you need some more snark, she's perfect for that.
She's great at that. And I did reread Judith McNaught's Paradise all over again. But you can tell that by the cover. So I've just kind of been going back to some of the stuff I've read before, and I'm really enjoying rereading the Linda Howards, the Karen Roses, the Julianne Walkers. So
yeah, especially when you have that time between the first time you read it and now you're like, our lives are so much different. Like everything just things can hit in a different way than they did the first time we read a book.
Yeah, you pull something a little different out of it each time, I think.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you, Kathy Lyons?
I don't have a comfort read.
Mhm.
There's so many new books. I just read new books.
Yeah. That's your comfort though. I like that.
Yeah.
No, it's good. I'm not a big rereader either. So full confession. Like I also am like, I want to read the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie, what about you?
I've just been turning to holiday stuff way earlier than what I have in the past. I used to be like, not before Thanksgiving. And now it's like, I'm actually, looking for Christmas movies or looking, even the old ones. They hadn't even started playing the new ones. And I'm rewatching all the old Christmas movies or even reading Christmas books, just anything. I don't know. Maybe it's just wanting to be in that holiday spirit already, even though we're not to the holidays yet. Yeah. Maybe it's this hotel room. I don't know.
You're like, I'm going mad.
I need out.
You need to get in the bathtub.
I need to swim laps and get in the bathtub and go for a run.
Exactly. Maureen, what about you? What are some of your comfort reads?
Like way back before Amazon, if you remember those days, I used to, in the paperbacks that I was reading, I used to write a number up in the top corner of my rating for that book. And I still have some of those paperbacks. And I go back and I go, oh, this one was a 10. That was my rating system. And I think I mentioned it earlier. I'm rereading Elizabeth Lowell, some of these really older novels. I'm sorry, Elizabeth, if I call them older. But really enjoying that. If I gave it a 10, I know it's worth the reread.
There you go.
That's Julie, what about you?
Nalini Singh's books I reread often. Slave to Sensation is amazing. Yeah. I like Anne Bishop too, though. There's so many. I'm looking at my thing. Anne McCaffrey, actually, I like to read some of hers.
Yeah. Her worlds are so cool.
Yes, she was great at world building. That's a hard skill.
So true. Terri, what about you? What are some of your comfort reads?
Well, like I said earlier, I've been reading a lot of historicals. Reread some. Yeah. Reread some of Lisa Kleypas. Sarah McLean. I read Day of the Duchess back to back. I finished it, picked it right back up and started over because I didn't want to leave that world. I wanted to be there instead of here. Yeah, but I have been reading some romantic suspense too. A lot of intrigues. Amanda Stevens and Deb Webb, and I agree with T. I don't think that there's that happy ending. There's the like Maureen said, they have to work for the happy ever after, and so but yeah. That's what I've been doing.
Love it. That's so cool. Well, guys, we have time for a couple more questions before we say goodnight and say goodbye to our authors who have been so fabulous and wonderful to spend their time with us. But one question that we always like to ask our authors, because you have a very extraordinary and awesome job compared to a lot of us who just have normal, regular 9-to-5ers. But I'm curious to know what you would be doing if you couldn't be a writer. Yeah. Everybody's face. I wish you could have all seen it. Cool. What? Math? You don't have to say math. It's fine. No one has to do any math. Maureen, what about you? What would you be doing if you weren't?
Well, I used to work in software in the glass manufacturing industry. So I'm sure there's not many out there like that. And it wasn't exactly oozing romance. But like I told you, sitting in the airport, that was my escape, was to write the romance. And I don't know that I'd go back. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing right now. But if I could, I might like to be a biologist.
I like that. That's a great answer. Cool. All right, Terri, what would you be if you couldn't be a writer?
Well, the reality would be I'd probably be working at Nordstrom's, which is what I was doing when I started selling.
Mm-hmm.
The ideal would be to be a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's times when I kind of go, why didn't I do that? But I did.
Well, the education system has their own bureaucracies and issues. Yeah. Kathy, what about you?
I would be, and it doesn't, I don't know if it exists or not, but I honestly would like to be a psychic massage therapist.
All right, well, tell us what this job is.
Well, I've had a lot of I've had sports injuries, and so I've gone to a lot of massage therapists to help with that, and just to be able to put your hands on the body and say, okay, I know you think it's this problem, but actually it's your great grandmother who did such and such, who's sitting in your bones, and let me take care of it.
That generational trauma that's deep in there.
Or it could just be that, you sit weird, so maybe change your
I appreciate you saying that as I was like hunched over. I relate to that comment.
Well, I thought I'd be very proud of myself and do this stool that does not have back support, because it forces me to sit up straight and present myself well. Oh my God, my back is like,
oh man. Like, can I just sit, please? All right, T, you have our first puppy cameo.
Yay!
Who is this? Lyons, right here.
Well, it's actually very timely. So I think I wound up in the place I was meant to be, doing criminal investigations. However, my biggest regret was that somehow it never occurred to me to get into the canine world. And I 100% regret not trying to become a canine agent for some federal agency like ATF. And I don't know why it never occurred to me, but it didn't, and that's what I would do.
I love that answer. Yeah, that's so cool. And then who's your pupper?
So this is my little girl Kiri. It's short for Valkyrie. She's very awesome lady.
I love that. She's so pretty. I have an almost all black English Shepherd, and they look very similar. So I was like, oh, what kind of dog is that? So many questions. Cool. All right. Carrie, what about you?
My background is teaching, but I decided I liked writing books better than teaching. And if I couldn't write books, I think I'd want to be an actress. I used to be in plays. I would love to star in the movies of the books. That would be fun. Either that or with my big white fluffy fur balls, maybe I would be in a show dog, be in the show dog ring rather than just having them as pets.
Oh man. All right, Julie, what about you? What would you be doing?
I probably would have gone back to my first career, which was a medical lab technologist. So I'd be back in the lab.
You seem thrilled by that.
Identifying pathogens and fun stuff like that.
Oh my goodness. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before I let you guys go, I want you to go around and tell us how readers can stay in touch with you and find out more about you. And I'll go ahead and start with Julie, and then I'll call from there.
JulieRoweAuthor.com is where you can find me. I'm on Facebook and Twitter as well. But that contact info is on my website. So come and have a look. Sign up for my newsletter and get a freebie.
Yeah. We like that. That's awesome. Okay, Kathy Lyons.
My website is JadeLeeAuthor.com, because when I picked the pen name Jade Lee, I didn't realize she was also the lead Asian porn star.
Someone's got to be.
Someone's got to be. Yes, my mother actually asked me how come she didn't get a copy of Pussy Man's Escape from LA. Like, Mom, that's a movie, not a book. So
bringing love no matter what version.
Yes. And you can sign up for my newsletter, learn all about what I do. And I don't remember if you get something free on there or not. But yes, I often notify you about freebies and whatever.
Awesome.
And if you follow me on BookBub, then you also get notified. So
fantastic. All right, T, where can readers find out more about you and stay in touch with you?
The best way is through my website, tofallon.com, no apostrophe, just tofallon. And I'm on all the social media, Facebook, BookBub, Goodreads, Twitter, Instagram. And you can also find me at T.O. Fallon's Martini Room on Facebook.
Ooh.
I'm going to go there.
Do you give martini recipes on your?
Martini recipes periodically.
I love it. Perfect. All right. Terri Reed, what about you?
Same. No martinis.
No.
TerriReed.com, Facebook, and Instagram. I do not do Twitter. I could not figure. It didn't work for me. So, and I do have a newsletter and BookBub and Amazon also, and loveInspired.com. They did a harlequin.com. So yeah.
Cool. Great. All right, Carrie, what about you?
CarrieLeeTownsend.com. All my social media links are on there too. BookBub, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. And Carrie's Lakeside Readers for Facebook group.
Perfect. All right, Maureen, where can readers find out more about you and stay in touch with you?
MaureenAMiller.com and Maureen A. Miller, author for all the other usual suspects, Instagram, Facebook, etc. If you want to see a lot of crazy corgi pictures amongst my books, then that's where you want to go.
Oh,
and yes, the newsletter, you get a free book.
Perfect. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
We're all going to like freeze and do a weird face, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Momentarily, we'll get to have a fun freeze framing situation. But before I just want to say thank you so much to all of our amazing authors that are joining us tonight. This is just a little sneak peek of what you're going to be getting to experience tomorrow when you come back and join us for our full day of Readers and Ritas. We're going to start the day with our first panel, which is a historical panel featuring Erica Ridley and Jana McGregor. And we'll have panels all about mystery, paranormal, and contemporary reads. So if you liked a lot of the things we talked about this evening, we're going to have even more authors that write some of our favorite books that are in those genres. So we're really excited to have them. I'll also let you know that once I close up this room, we are going to have a little reader mix and mingle happening in our expo. So you can actually go ahead and exit out of the stage and go straight down to the expo, and you'll see all the rooms open. Feel free to go stop by, see we have a room for readers of historical. We have a room for readers of contemporary, paranormal, and mystery and historical. So, pop in there, say hi to some of our community managers. And we're just going to pop in. We're going to have them open again tomorrow at the end of the day for a little bit longer reader and author mix and mingle. And some authors might come in there too. So, make sure you stop by. It's going to be really fun. And then, you guys, before I say goodbye, since a lot of you since everyone here this evening is a VIP member, if you received your VIP box in the mail before today, you may have received a little envelope in there, and you're like, what is this envelope that seems interesting that tells me not to open it? Well, if you have the green ticket, the green envelope, green as in like trees or like obviously the color green. I don't know why I had to say that. That makes sense. But, if you have the green ticket, please go over to the expo room and see Sarah Reyes in the Fresh Fiction booth. It's the one on the bottom with the biggest banner. make sure you stop by there and claim your prize. You're gonna win an actual really, really cool raffle basket. So hopefully you stop by. And otherwise, thank you again to our amazing authors. If you have any further questions for them, please go visit them on their social media sites, send them emails, sign up for their newsletters. That is the best thing that you can do to help your authors out, is to sign up for their newsletters, follow them wherever you can. But just make sure that you are engaging with them, because they love talking to readers. So that's my spiel on there. And then otherwise, we will see you guys tomorrow at noon Eastern, 11 Central, 9 a.m. Western, 9 a.m. on the West Coast. So Pacific, thank you. Otherwise, we'll see you then. Green ticket, go over to the Fresh Fiction booth in the expo. The rest of our attendees that are fabulous and wonderful here, go visit all the other expo rooms, pop in, say hi to our community managers, and we will see you in the morning. Bye, guys.
Thank you.